The core concept behind the unconference is twofold. It's to connect independent Bitcoin educators from around the world, and it's to follow the core ethos of Bitcoin, which is decentralization, right? So that's why it's not a conference, it's an unconference. The key difference being that there isn't a central body that is dictating and controlling everything. Like, it's meant to be more free-flowing, where their participants have control, right? And that's supposed to mimic what Bitcoin does, mimic how Bitcoin allows the individual to have control in their own life. That's something that we want to emulate with everything that we do, including the unconference. That's a good question. So I do have expectations, but I also think it's important that we are not afraid to fail, right? We are doing something different that people aren't familiar with, that we're not familiar with, right? Like, don't be afraid of failure, you know, try new things. I mean, we're trying to change the world, right? Like, this is a global revolution, and that doesn't happen by following a preordained playbook. So that is an important consideration, but what I hope happens is that Bitcoin educators from around the world come together and they share best practices. They build stronger connections with each other to strengthen that communication network that they have with each other. And it becomes more decentralized, right? So like, we are in contact with the majority of the people that will go to the conference, but they might not be in contact with each other. And we could set up a Skype call, we could set up like a Zoom, whatever, but it's not the same to sit down with someone face to face. So hopefully those connections are stronger, and we, you know, a big part of what we do with Me Premier Bitcoin is try to create a world in which we are irrelevant, where we're not needed, right? And this is part of that. And there's so many, like, I have the honor and privilege to know many independent Bitcoin educators around the world that are doing amazing things. And we don't all have to invent the best ways forward. If somebody in South Africa figured a great solution to a problem that we all have, then we'd like to share that best practice. Likewise, if somebody in Scotland came up with like a great new strategy or technique or material, whatever, we'd like to share that. So really, we want to speed up the timeline, right? Like, the world is changing, and we don't have forever to find solutions to the current problems. I think the main current problem is we have forgotten how to think for ourselves, to think critically. And that has put us on a path that I would rather not see the conclusion of. I think that we could fork that path to something better, but there's some urgency there. So like, this is sharing best practices and speeding up the timeline. If we give people the opportunity to create their own future, their own destiny, that changes the incentive structure. The incentive structure that we have now in the fiat world discourages us to look far into the future, because we don't know what's going to happen. We're not in control of things, right? So the same philosophy that we applied to students, I think applies to everyone, right? It applies to other teachers, other projects. The core of it all is empowerment. It's sovereignty in your own life, right? In your own community. That we are all capable of more. And once we start to flex that muscle, then it gets stronger, right? We just never use that muscle. Yeah, people are excited. People are excited. For many people, this will be their first unconference. So, you know, the first hour of the day will involve some explanation of what's going to happen that day. There's going to be a part where people who want to speak will be able to give like a 1-minute audio intro, like, hey, this is who I am, this is what I'm doing, this is what I want to talk about, to try to make it easier to connect with people. And if there's a lot of interest in a particular subject that we find from that intro in the morning, then we'll create space for a larger conversation for everyone to join, right? But it's decided by the participant. Because this is new, there will be some pre-planned stuff. There will be, more traditional, just people that will be speaking and pre-planned thematic conversations. But there will also be a space for some, the participants who show up to decide how the course of the day goes. It's all about education.
All about education.
So it's all about how to, educate in your own communities and to learn from each other, right? So this is an opportunity for us all to, we are greater than the sum of our parts. That is a core philosophy behind this, that the knowledge and experience that I have and the knowledge and experience that you have, it's not 1 + 1 = 2, right? It's like 1 + 1 = 3 in this case. It's Monday, November 6th, and it's all day. So it starts at 9 a.m. and it finishes at 5. And it is in Crejo La Montaña, which is just outside of the city. It's literally on a mountain.
Nice.
So it overlooks the city. It has this really wonderful landscape view of the city, and there's an indoor space, which is like any indoor